I was taken to the hospital with a severe headache. I called everyone children, daughters-in-law, and grandchildren. No one came. My deal replied, family vacation. Don't bother us. When they finally came to the hospital, they found only a note revealing, $1 million fortune? Not yours. The pain hit me like a sledgehammer to the skull at 3:47 a.m. I remember the exact time because I was staring at the digital clock on my nightstand, willing myself to breathe through what felt like my head splitting open at 66. I'd experienced my share of headaches, but this was different. This was the kind of pain that made you wonder if you were dying. My hands shook as I reached for my phone. The first number I dialed was Miles, my only son. It went straight to voicemail. His voice, cheerful and automated, told me to leave a message and he'd get back to me soon, as if a medical emergency could wait for his convenience. Miles. It's Mom. I whispered into the phone, my voice barely recognizable even in myself. I'm having severe head pain. I think I need to go to the hospital. Please call me back. 20 minutes passed, no call. The pain was getting worse, spreading down my neck like molten metal. I tried calling again, voicemail, again, voicemail. I dialed Jovi, my daughter-in-law. She'd never been warm to me, but surely in an emergency, the phone rang 4 times before she picked up. Her voice sharp with irritation. Marlene, do you know what time it is? Jovi, I'm sorry to wake you, but I'm having terrible head pain. I think I need to call an ambulance. Is Miles there? There was a pause, and I could hear muffled conversation in the background. Then Jovi's voice came back colder than I'd ever heard it. We're on a family vacation. Marlene, we specifically came here to have uninterrupted time with the kids. Please don't call again unless someone is literally dying. The line went dead. I stared at my phone, the words echoing in my head, family vacation, the grandchildren I helped raise, the son I'd sacrificed everything for, we're on a family vacation, and I wasn't family enough to be included or even worthy of concern when I might be dying. I called 911, myself. The paramedics found me on my kitchen floor having collapsed while trying to make it to the front door. The ride to the hospital was a blur of sirens and concerned voices asking me questions I could barely focus on answering. Did I have emergency contacts? Yes, I gave them Miles's number. Any other family, just him and his wife at the emergency room. They ran test after test, CT scan, blood work, neurological exams. The doctor, a kind woman about my age named Dr. Peterson, sat beside my bed with results I couldn't quite process through the medication they'd given me for pain. Mrs. Hartwell, you've experienced what we call a severe tension headache, possibly triggered by extreme stress. Your blood pressure was dangerously high when you arrived. We're going to keep you overnight for observation. I nodded numbly. Did anyone call my son back? Dr. Peterson's expression softened with sympathy. The nurse tried the number you gave us several times, no answer. That's when it truly hit me. I was alone, completely, utterly alone. The hospital room was quiet except for the rhythmic beeping of monitors and the distant sounds of the hallway. I lay there in the dim light, staring at the ceiling tiles and thinking about how I'd ended up here. When had I become so disposable to the people I loved most? A nurse named Maria came to check on me around midnight. She was probably in her 40s, with kind eyes and gentle hands as she adjusted my four. Are you comfortable? Mrs. Hartwell, do you need anything for pain? Just have there been any calls for me? Maria shook her head sympathetically. I'm sorry, honey, but you try to get some rest. Sometimes. Family doesn't know how to handle these situations, but I knew better. This wasn't about not knowing how to handle it. This was about not caring enough to try. I must have dozed off, because the next thing I knew, sunlight was streaming through the window and a different nurse was bringing me breakfast. My phone sat silent on the bedside table, no missed calls, no text messages, nothing. As I picked at the hospital legs, a terrible clarity began to settle over me. This wasn't an aberration. This was the truth of my relationship with my son and his family, stripped of all the pretty lies I'd been telling myself for years. They didn't need me. They never had. I was just the convenient grandmother who babysat when they wanted date nights, the reliable mother who helped with down payments and emergencies, the dependable woman who asked for nothing in return except to be included, to be loved, to matter, but I didn't matter not to them. The realization should have broken me. Instead, something unexpected happened. For the first time in years, maybe decades, I felt a strange sense of clarity. The fog of constant people-pleasing and desperate hope lifted, and I could see my life with brutal honesty. I had been living for other people's approval for so long that I'd forgotten who I was. Underneath all that servitude, I'd given away pieces of myself until there was almost nothing left, almost but not quite, nothing, not yet. When Dr. Peterson came for her rounds, she found me sitting up in bed more alert than I'd been since arriving. How are you feeling this morning? Mrs. Hartwell, different. I said honestly, Doctor, when you have a patient with no family support, what do you recommend? She studied my face carefully. Are you asking hypothetically? No, I'm asking because I think I'm about to become that patient. Dr. Peterson pulled up a chair beside my bed. Mrs. Hartwell, I've been practicing medicine for 23 years. I've seen a lot of family dynamics. What I can tell you is that you can't control how other people treat you, but you can control how you respond to it, and if I'm tired of responding by pretending it doesn't hurt, then maybe it's time to stop pretending. As she left the room, I reached for the pen and notepad the hospital had provided. My hand was steady now, steadier than it had been in months. I had some serious thinking to do, and for the first time in my adult life, I was going to think about what I wanted, not what everyone else needed from me. The family vacation would end eventually. Miles and Jovi would come back, probably expecting to find the same agreeable, available mother and grandmother they'd left behind. They were going to be very surprised. The memories came flooding back as I lay in that hospital bed, each one a piece of a puzzle. I'd been too close to see clearly. How had I become the family ATM without even realizing it? It started slowly, as these things always do. When Miles first brought Jovi home 8 years ago, I was thrilled my son, 32 and finally settling down with a beautiful, ambitious woman who seemed to adore him. I wanted so desperately to be the mother-in-law I'd never had, supportive, helpful, but not intrusive. Jovi was smart about it.